and welcome to another episode of the BC Real Estate Podcast. It's me, Ricky J, in the office today with the one and only again, Jeff Chadha. How's it going, Jeff?
It's all right. It's great. It's going. You know, another weekend. It's Mother's Day.
That's right. Happy
Today.
Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. That's why I was late. Sorry, that little family thing going on.
Uh-huh. No.
Yeah, that's my excuse, right?
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock, Rick. We were supposed to be done by, 3:30?
Sorry.
Right? Yeah, okay.
I'll take the blame
just
on
as
that
long as, everyone at home knows what happened here, right?
Yeah, I always get blamed for everything anyway here, so it's okay. And also, guys, like we always say, if you're thinking about moving around in Surrey, all over British Columbia, especially in the Lower Mainland, don't forget to give us a call. The number will be down below. And diving right into this episode, we actually came up with the idea for this episode, especially me.
Well, yeah, let's not. Let's call a spade here, Rick. You're like, we got to do an episode on this. We have to. And I'm like, fine, let's do it.
Yes, that's right. No, the reason behind this episode was just due to the fact that, me especially, I've heard over and over again from so many people out there about having a bad experience dealing with a realtor. Not a certain realtor, but just realtors in general, certain realtors or whatever the case may be. But, this was happening over and over again. And I was just like, okay, you know what? We need to make a video for everyone out there that basically kind of goes through the process about preparing your home for sale by owner. That's what the video is today.
And you know what? It's an ironic topic because I'm a realtor going to be telling you how to sell your home if you want to sell it by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Now, some people in the office are like, well, why are you telling people how to sell their property on their own? Well, it's going to happen, Rick.
Of course.
Right? And it's a harsh reality that people sometimes feel that they don't want a realtor, don't need a realtor. So we'll get into all those things, right? There are the pros and cons. So what we did, this being our 8th episode, we came up with 8 reasons for and 8 reasons for not.
That's right. There might be some flack for this episode, but it's okay.
No.
Good content.
We'll be good. I mean, like we always do, right?
That's
so, and this is strictly our opinion. Once again, I'm going to throw the disclaimer out there. This is not in law. It's not in writing anywhere. This is our opinion.
That's right.
Right? So we want to make that very, very, very clear. Right?
Yes.
So let's jump into it.
That's right.
Right?
Preparation is key.
Well, yeah. I mean, and Rick, like I said, time I'm going to be looking on my screen here, but there's so much to do about this. So I made quick notes so I'll make sure we don't forget. But it is a very, very important thing, whether you're using a realtor or not, right? Mm-hmm. Selling a property, and we've said this before, it's not like, you're selling shoes. It's not like even selling a car.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest investments someone makes.
Yes, that's right.
So preparing yourself for the sale is very, very important. Just yourself, not the property, yourself. Because when you sell it for sale by owner, you yourself become the salesman, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to take all that stress of selling the property that a salesman goes through on your own. So that's a very, very key thing. At the end of the day, if you've been living in the property for a long time or not, who knows the property better than yourself?
Exactly, yeah.
Right? You might feel that, you know everything about the property, so you would be the best salesman for it, right? So if that's the case, then, prepare yourself for it. This also involves, conducting evaluations of the property, which we're going to go through right now, right? But it's really preparing the mindset of everything that you will go through, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not just the actual, putting a sign up saying for sale by owner. It's actually the emotional stress that selling your own property can put you through.
I mean, would you recommend that some people, well, not even recommend, would you say that some people would you recommend maybe getting another phone number because of all the time waster people out there, which there are?
Well, you know what? We're going to get to that point in one of my points here.
Okay.
But yeah. I mean, that is actually one of the points of preparing the property, which actually segues right to the next point.
Okay.
Is after you prepare yourself, now you prepare the property.
Okay.
Right? So when you're preparing the property, what I would say to do is this is kind of common sense, Rick, but
Not for
some
everyone.
people kind of just don't catch up on it. It's actually having the house nice and clean, having the yard clean, curb appeal, right?
Yeah.
A picture says 1,000 words,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can be the best copywriter, and you can give a nice long spiel in the description of how your home looks, but if you give a bad photo or a picture of it, well, you know what? That buyer who might have bought your home might not buy it. And we've talked about this in another video
Yeah, we
before,
have.
right?
Yeah.
Roughly about how the home condition can affect a buyer's mind frame,
Yeah.
right? So that's all and a lot of these points that we've talked about were covered probably and will be covered in other videos in some way or another.
Of course.
Right?
Lots of videos.
So preparing the property for sale also is setting up a schedule for showings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you prepare the property for sale, you're gonna have buyers coming by. You would need to make yourself free, making sure that the property is free to show. Even you might have tenants there, so you want to organize with your tenants, organize with everybody else in the house. Right? Showings are happening this time, showings are happening that time. Just overall preparing your property and the showing schedule is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
What next I would say would be the property evaluation. Now that's probably one of the biggest things here when selling the home by yourself is, well, what do we price it at? Right?
Yeah.
Now you're not hiring an agent. You didn't really hire anybody else. So how are you getting your evaluation of property? How does a for sale by owner evaluate their property? Well, you could actually go out and hire an independent appraiser.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure they're reputable.
Of course.
Right? There's a cost associated to that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's one of probably the easiest ways. Another way, what a lot of realtors would hate, is you go and ask a realtor to do it. A realtor making a market evaluation for you. Realtors will hate it. Let's call a spade a spade. Do these things happen? Of course they do. Do us realtors hate it when you call us over and we do the work for you, the evaluation for you, and then you don't do the listing through us, you do it yourself? Of course we hate it, right? But this is not about one particular or any particular realtors. This is you as the homeowner. What do you do to get an evaluation? So could you do that? Yes, you definitely could. Should you do it? I don't recommend it because you don't ever want to create negative energy in your home, and you don't want
Definitely not.
you don't want to have realtors come to your home and give you evaluations and you don't use them, and it just creates negativity. And who knows, maybe that realtor who you showed the home to and you kind of stiffed them might have been the agent that was gonna have a buyer for you, right?
Never know.
You never know,
Never
right? So obtaining an independent appraiser would probably be very, very good to do. Now, the number one reason why a lot of homes don't sell, especially for sale by owners, is the inexperience and actually inaccurate pricing. Sometimes they price it way too high, and that's one of the reasons why the home does not sell. So pricing is a huge, huge, huge factor when it comes to selling your home by yourself.
And then you can ruin it in the future as well if it's on the market too long. Right?
Well, that's another thing,
Yeah.
right? And if it just stays stagnant with the for sale by owner sign up front of your house, then it just doesn't look good,
yeah, of course.
right? Now, obviously when you set it too high, you're going to take away some buyers. You set it too low, are you getting the right buyers, right? So time management is a very, very big thing here. Other factors that you should consider when you're evaluating your home for pricing is the features. Mm-hmm. What features does your home have compared to John's down the street? Or, does the Suki have a waterfall feature in their home, for instance, that they put in a year ago that you might not know about? Maybe your guys' homes are very, very similar,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're wondering why their home sold for like 1.5, and
Yeah.
you're thinking your home should be the same, but you're not getting the action, right? So understanding the features of your home and understanding the market too,
Mm-hmm.
right, also plays a big deal on evaluating what the price of your property should be, right? So overall, the condition of your home it's very, very big. Now, the next thing here that I would jump onto would be one of the videos that we had with good old Steve.
Yeah, that's right. Home
right?
inspection.
Home inspection.
Shout out to Steve.
Right?
Emotional inspection.
You know, as a seller, you can do a home inspection prior to your home being on the market for sale by owner, right? Mm-hmm. So it's good to know what the flaws are of your home. You know, is there a major roof damage, foundation, electrical? You know, is there some hazards that you should be aware of, right? Mm-hmm. So go out and get a home inspector to inspect the home. Now, do you need to have a home inspector? No, you don't. You can do it yourself, but there's a reason why professionals are professionals, right? So having the home inspected before and fixing these minor little things could greatly, greatly increase the chances of your property selling by your own. You know, it's very simple, Rick. I mean, spending a few $100s here could actually make you a few $1,000s.
Yeah, it can go a long way.
Right? It's time is of the essence. And if it saves someone time from doing it, you know, it's like the whole IKEA thing, right? You go to IKEA and you go buy a table and you have to put it together yourself, or you can go get one, you know, made and pre-made for you, but it costs a little bit more. Yeah. Right? So people will pay, generally, I should say actually, will pay for the work being done, mm-hmm. right? But when it comes to interior design and what palette you should choose, I'm not an interior designer. We have an interior designer on one of our shows that will go through these things, mm-hmm. And we'll give you their number so you can contact them. But that is not for today.
Another episode.
Now, Rick, this comes to the next point, but we were talking about this, and you said to me about timing.
Yes.
Right?
Timing
you know, timing of when to sell, right? So that rolls into my fifth point here is you have to be realistic on your whole sales technique, right? In terms of from start to finish, let's just assume and let's be optimistic here that we have a buyer, mm-hmm. right? And the buyer wants to buy the property, everything's going good. But we have to also be realistic in terms of when we want to move out of the property. Or not we, but the homeowner wants to move out of the property. When do they expect possession to happen, right? Because that buyer's going to have a time frame too, right? So typically, it's generally understood in the industry about a 2 to 3 months. In a fast market, slow market, those can be adjusted. But you're going to, as a for sale by owner, these are some of the things that you'd want to take into deep consideration mm-hmm. prior to you putting it on the market, right? I mean, you might come across a scenario where you have a buyer, but they want a late completion. Maybe they want a 6-month completion. So is that something, are you able, maybe they came with $100,000 more than the buyer who wanted a 2-month completion.
Yeah.
Even though that 100,000 is a great number, is it real for you? Like, do you need to be into your new place by a certain time? Do you need the money from this sale to accommodate the next sale, right? Mm-hmm. You know, there's all these factors that come into play here that you really need to consider prior to putting your home on the market, right? Because once you're already on, and once you have buyers coming through that door, it might be too late to now consider it then, because now you're going to be dealing with offers left, right, center, hopefully, right? And negotiating possession dates could be the huge turnoff. You're dealing with, you know, a direct buyer or a buyer's agent, and you're dealing with emotions, right? So you want to be very careful about that. And now
those emotions will get you sometimes.
Well, stress becomes a really big factor,
huge.
Right? And possession dates is huge, especially when you have kids, right? They might need school time. Let's say you don't have any kids. All your kids are grown up and they're in college, mm-hmm. so you don't care about dates. But the buyer might say that we need to be in this property before school starts so our kid can be in there. So these are all factors that you want to consider as well. Now, Rick, the next point 6 here is something that you love, is the social media / advertising of the property, right? Now, we got into the whole YouTube channel world not by accident, but by Ricky hounding me and saying, you know, Jeff, what the hell is wrong with you? You have content, you know how to talk, get the hell on there.
It took us 4 years to do this, guys.
It's been a little while. It's been a while. So
but we did it.
we're doing. I'm starting to love it now, right? Before it was just like, it was crazy, but luckily we built our team big enough where we can actually do this. So getting right into the next point, which is point 6, is advertising and social media as a for sale by owner. You really need to access every tool out there at your disposal, especially the free ones: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, right?
TikTok,
Snapchat, right? And I'm feeling old because I mean, if there's some new ones that I don't know about, right? Then utilize them, right? I mean, Craigslist is always there. That's more of an older one now, but
too many time wasters.
You know what? We're going to get into that part too. But Craigslist is another form of advertising. Then you have your paid. You can go on Facebook and do paid advertising. Instagram and do paid. Newspapers. Does it still happen? Yeah, it does, right? But is it as popular as it was before?
I would say for certain age groups.
Yeah, definitely. Different age groups. In today's world right now, we're in the technology era, right? So you can pull up your newspaper online, right? So you can still advertise as a newspaper, but does it have the real strength that maybe a targeted ad in Facebook or social media aspect would have, right? So that's one thing. Now, you have companies out there that specialize in for sale by owner, with for sale by owner websites. Now, the problem with that is you're still doing 90% of the marketing on your own, right? They might provide you with a nice yellow sign, or they might provide you with just an internet page, but you're still going to have to promote it and do everything yourself. So if you're not an expert on marketing or getting it out there, maybe you're not doing your property justice.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Another thing is another free way to get advertising is when you're going to do your showings. I know we just talked about print advertising right now in newspapers. Might not be as strong, but your own neighborhood itself, more often than not, will have a potential buyer, because you might have a neighbor who has family, right? You might have, we just listed a property. It's coming on the market Monday. I'm not going to plug the address, don't worry. Yeah. Right? But we just put a post up, and our sign wasn't even on there yet. Just a post, right? And the owner was saying that, Jeff, we had 4 neighbors come by and ask us about the property and information about the property. And they had people, and he was like, Jeff, well, what should I do? I'm like, well, you should direct them to me first off, right? But you got to be careful. And we're going to get to that next point here about that. Let me just see if that's in my points here. Oh, no, that's in the other points. But we're going to get into the points of being careful how to deal with some of the buyers. You might have buyers coming to you from your advertising. You have to know what to say to them, right? A lot of them are professionals on how to negotiate. Are you? Right? You really got to take that into consideration here.
Yeah.
Right? Now, let's talk about the actual showing of the property. We did all the steps before. We prepared ourselves. We're mentally ready. We got the property all looking spick and span, all nice. We got those cookies in the oven type of thing. We got the nice aroma. We advertise it out there. Now we got buyers coming. So the welcoming itself, first impressions mean a lot.
Oh, yeah, everything. Almost everything.
So you'd be surprised, right?
Yeah.
So the welcoming itself is a huge factor, right? Me, myself, if I walk in someone's home and they were like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, here, well, feel free to go inside. It's not so positive. I believe in positive energy. Right, so if someone it's very dull in the very beginning and the entrance of the home, it might set the mood, right? So be very careful about
set
that.
The mood.
You'd be surprised. And I've been doing this a long time, and mood setting is a very big factor.
Yeah. Right.
There's many different people in this world. Many people have different points of views and how they feel about things, right? But energy is a big thing. All right, and if you get turned off, like for instance, Rick, I hate yam fries.
Really?
I hate yam. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
And it was because a long time ago I went out and I ordered them, and maybe they were just really bad with the place I ate it, but it gave me a stomach ache, and now that just set me off completely. I will no longer eat it. Period.
That's
Right.
amazing.
So that one aspect set me off. I just won't do it. Right. So creating, I know that's food and real estate, but creating a setting, creating a point.
Yeah,
The point I'm trying to make here is first impression means a lot. Right. That was the first time I had those jam fries, and never gonna have them again.
Of course.
Right. So now, when you have the buyer inside your home, what do? Right. They're gonna have questions. Right. So more importantly, when they're inside your home is when they're leaving. Right. Now, they ask a question. Some sellers might get a little bit nervous on asking them, and they might say, well, I'll get back to you on that, or I'll call you later, or I'll email you. You have them there right now. They're asking the question. Answer the question.
Yeah. Give an answer.
Right? If you let them walk away, they might, who knows, might see another property on the way. They might think that you orchestrated an answer because you had no idea. Right now, we went back to our first point that no one knows the property better than you. And if they ask a question and you don't know it, well, the whole thing went out the window, didn't it?
Yeah, where's the credibility?
Right? Yeah. Right? So if they have a question, try your best to answer it. Right? By leaving too much time, right, allows for the variables to come and play. Make sure you put away your valuables. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You're doing showings, you don't know who's in your home.
Has that happened to you ever? Or not even just you. Have you heard of any stories about somebody getting maybe hit up while the showing's going on?
So this happened 7 years ago. I was doing a showing, and this was actually, it was an actual normal realtor showing, so it wasn't for sale by owner.
Okay, yeah.
So we went inside, and it was my buyers. Walked inside the home. The seller's agent wasn't there, conveniently. Went into the home, and we were the first showing that day. I think that realtor had about 8 or 9 showings, he told me. And went inside, walked around the homes. I usually let my buyers walk, to the rooms themselves. I don't just peer over the shoulder all the time while I'm looking at other rooms. Went into this one room, saw what looked like a mountain of jewelry. Had to be about at least $3,000 to $4,000 in cash sitting on the table.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And it looked like some, very important legal documents. Now, I don't know what the person did. It could have been a lawyer. It could have been I don't know, right? But it just looked like some important legal documents. $3,000 to $4,000 in cash, jewelry laying there, and I called the agent up. I'm like, are you giving cash away with the home? Like, you're gonna get in trouble for this. If someone steals money or takes it, how can you control this? You should be here for the showing, or at least you should have told your sellers to put this stuff away. Now, being responsible, I called the agent because I didn't want something to go missing from maybe, I'm not saying the agents would do this, but maybe another buyer. We don't know all the buyers coming to the door. So maybe one of the buyers walked in and took $1,000. Yeah. How do we know? We can't judge it. I didn't want that blame coming onto me. Right?
Of course, yeah,
so, that agent at that time should have prepared the seller, or that seller themselves should have kind of, realized, hey, maybe I shouldn't leave jewelry or money lying around.
Yeah, that shocks me. That's
that's
valuable, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Can't believe they overlooked that fact.
Well, now the next thing here is that the seller, or the seller, right? They might get anxious. They see a buyer, and the buyer's on that cusp, and the seller is, like, well, what do I do? I think that buyer's ready to buy, and they might make a mistake by rushing the buyer to make a decision, right? Like really pressuring them, which can actually turn the buyer off, right? And it's no fault to the seller because they're very passionate about the sale of their home. Right, so they want to make sure that they explain every feature in every detail and say, hey, okay, well, don't leave, we got this, and don't leave, we got that, or you know what, you need the railing fixed, we'll do this, and you need that, we'll do this. Some buyers might get turned off by that, right? So don't pressure or hurry the buyer too much. It's a big decision for them, as it is for you being the seller. It's also a big decision for the buyer.
Of course.
Right, so let them come to their decision, right? Another thing is we talked about the mood of the home.
Setting the
you know,
mood.
setting the mood. You know, we're not trying to do a romantic date here or anything, right? So
No.
don't blame you. I mean, if I wasn't me, I would want me to go on a date too. But we'll talk about a different topic. But what I'm saying here, my wife might not like that. But what I'm saying here is prepare the home properly.
Yeah.
Right? You know, if you have a gorgeous backyard and you have a window that highlights the backyard, then open the damn blind so let people see it. Right? You know, you want to create that mood. You know, put the lights on. How much money are you going to save on electricity on an hour that you couldn't turn on the lights?
Maybe
Right?
get a scented candle in there.
Well, yeah, and you know what? But you know what? You
sometimes.
gotta be careful with the scented candle, right? Because you don't want to overpower it.
What if there's a bad smell in the house?
Well, then you should prepare your home accordingly,
That's what I'm
right?
saying,
But
yeah.
no, but you know what? We've been in homes before,
Yeah.
Rick, that they put too much candles or the scents, and it just overpowered it completely. But yeah, number two, some
hilarious.
people are actually allergic.
Oh yeah, actually, I
Right,
didn't even consider
so
that.
you got to be careful of that, and we're not going to get into the legals or the liabilities of inviting someone to your home and something happens.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is an actual thing that I've heard happen in case studies, right? That person came into the home, something happened. Now who's at fault?
Yeah, who's
Because you
liable?
invited them, but did they invite an infection? Did they invite an allergy attack? Right. So you want to be careful about overpowering it. You
Makes
want to
sense.
create a subtle environment, right?
A welcoming environment.
No, exactly. You want to create a welcoming environment, right? So fireplace on, lights on, declutter as much as possible. You also want to have information ready. So realtors have feature sheets,
Yes, feature sheets.
right? So even though you're going for sale by owner, you should still have some kind of feature sheet, something to give out to people while they're walking or looking in the home. You don't want to just follow them around like a lost little puppy,
Yeah.
because the buyers won't feel comfortable with you.
It's like you go into a store. You don't want the guy.
No,
Sometimes
exactly.
you just
You don't
want to
want them
look. You don't
all
want to look
around you.
around. You're like just looking, right?
So the other thing here is encourage buyers to give you feedback. You get a buyer come through, and maybe while they're leaving, ask them what they thought about the property. Maybe send them an email, follow-ups, right? And encourage feedback, right? Now the last thing here because we're keeping 8 to 8, right? So the last point here is, well, you got the buyer, yourself is ready. What's next?
Yep.
It's the contract, right? You got to prepare the actual contract and purchase and sale. Now, we're just going to assume for this conversation that there is no buyer's agent,
Okay.
right? So, just a buyer, just a seller. You need a contract. You can't, it's not a handshake deal anymore.
Yeah.
We need actual paperwork,
It's a
right?
medieval dude.
So, who's going to prepare the contract? Where
Yeah.
is the contract coming from? Is a buyer going to get their own contract? Seller, you preparing a contract? You can hire a lawyer to draw up a contract. You can probably get a notary, maybe even two.
That's what I was. Gonna
You might be able to find templates online, right? There are some real estate companies out there that provide you with services like that.
so you can draft your own contract.
Well, there are templates,
Okay,
right?
but you'd have to get it notarized then after or something.
Well, as long as it's a standard template contract that has basic things in it, like you're still gonna have a lawyer
Overlook
or a
everything?
notary to go through everything at the end,
Okay.
right? But you still gonna need a contract to purchase a sale. Most importantly are the terms. You can't just get a piece of paper saying me buyer wants to buy your property, you seller sign here.
Yeah,
There's
that-
a lot more that goes into
Yeah,
it.
especially
than
with
just
the
as
property
that.
sale.
I mean, there's a reason why lawyers get paid a lot of money.
Of course,
right?
definitely.
So you want to get organized. It's like a business. You need to get organized. Figure out where the contract's coming from. Figure out your dates. Figure out if there is going to be inspections. How the dates can look like that. If their mortgages need to be handled with financing clauses. Figure all that part out. Appraisal times. You also want to figure out the lawyer, right? Who your lawyer is or notary is to do the conveyancing of the file, right? So there's a lot of steps involved after the buyers even decided to purchase your home, right? There are events that then the deal falls apart as well. So you need to know how to handle what happens if the subjects don't get removed, right? And I'm sure most of our listeners out there know what subjects are, but subjects are basic terms to complete the sale, right? And they have many of them. You'll have subject to financing, subject to inspection, subject to lawyer approval. If you're selling a home by yourself, I might recommend subject to a seller clause, subject to a lawyer clause, right? Because you might not know everything. You don't know what all the conditions and clauses are, so you might want to protect yourself too, right? So there's many subjects that can go into it. I've even seen some subjects as subject to the buyer's sister's approval, right? And it happens,
Yeah.
right? Then you got to worry about people coming out there and dealing with professional buyers, is what I call them, right? That know how to handle you, right? What they'll do is they might tie up your property. So you got to be careful about that, right? So, I mean, selling your home on your own is very doable, right? This is a quick 8-point guide of roughly how to do it. I mean, we can go into many steps of how to sell your home by yourself.
There's a lot to it.
There's, I mean, these 8 points I've broken this down in a quick summary.
Yeah, I'm really trying to dumb it down for everybody, make it pretty basic. But there's so much info.
Now, let's talk about 8 reasons why you shouldn't.
Especially during COVID times.
Well, you know what, Rick? You know what? You brought up COVID. I'm glad you brought that up because everything we just talked about in today's market today is what day is today? May the 9th, 2000.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Right, yeah. Once again, I'm late because of Rick. So, COVID time, it's current, right? So when you're selling your property today by yourself, you want to make sure that you ask the appropriate questions to the potential buyers about COVID. Have they traveled outside the country? All those kind of questions. When they come into your home, gloves, masks. Try not to have kids or pets even come into the home. You really want to limit it. You really don't want more than maybe 2 or 3 people in the home.
Some people come with a crew.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. They have like 6, 7, 8 people, and we're not allowed to have more than X amount, right? But you really want to bring it down to whoever the main decision makers are. Now, oftentimes you'll have people saying, "Well, I really want my kids to see it." Well, you're not saying no to them, right? But maybe have the main decision makers first. And if the child is a very big influence on the property, have them come too, but maybe follow one of the adults there. Or, if they're an adult themselves, come, the parents go first or the adults go first and then they go second. You don't want too much people in the home because you also have to disinfect your home for the next potential buyers, right? So selling your home during COVID time is very important, right? Now, well, I would recommend a lot of sanitizer, but with our current pandemic, I can't say, because realtors are considered essential workers, right? Can I say selling your home by yourself, inviting people to your home without having an agent there, could that violate some terms of BC law type of thing? I don't know, right? I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to touch on that. I don't know, right? So I would say find out about that before you start inviting people to your home to view your property, right? Okay. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Of course.
But to get to the next point here, 8 reasons to choose a realtor over selling it yourself. This one, it's a really interesting one that I'm just going to say right now. Realtors may choose not to view your home. Right? There's many reasons why not, but some realtors will say, might not even show your property, regardless of the fact they may not even found it because it's not on any kind of advertising tool. It's not on the MLS system, right? So they drove by some. They may not even want to deal with the seller, right? Sometimes, oftentimes, that why people have for sale by owner is they might have bad experiences with realtors, which they thought they can do themselves, or they want to save their fees and commissions. So buyer's agent might not even bother saying, well, you know what, maybe that homeowner is not going to pay enough. Right, and these are real things here, people. Right, as should a realtor be looking out for the interest of their own pocket over the client? Of course not. Right, but does it happen? Of course it does. Right, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it should happen. I'm just saying, does it? Right, and I agree, it should not happen, but it does. We live in a real world here. That's right. Just like how the for sale by owner shouldn't contact a realtor to do an appraisal of a property and then go do it himself. Same thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, that realtor might not show the property because they feel they're not getting paid enough, so they might not even want to show it, right?
No,
It's too much work, too much liability involved, right?
Exactly.
So they might not even want to deal with what buyer's agent might consider unreasonable seller. Another reason to hire an agent is an agent will avoid emotional sales, right? There's no emotion in it for them. I mean, regardless, they should be happy that they're selling the thing, but there's no emotional, sentimental attachment. When we go to a list of property, you know, I'll tell my clients that I understand that you raised your kids here for 25 years. It's beautiful. I get that. The buyer just doesn't bloody care. We can't sell your sentiments. You need to give them the opportunity to have their own memories put into this place. Exactly. Right? Yeah. So hiring a realtor can really help to avoid any kind of emotional attachments there are. Right? I mean, you can always express to your agent that, well, we love the property for this reason, we loved it for that reason, and it can go and assist the agent in his sales process for advertising purposes. That, you know, this tree here, they had that swing there for, you know, for 15 years, and they raised that. It'd be a great place to, you know, these are little kind of tricks that we can help, right? But we avoid the pitfalls and are less likely to make a mistake based on emotional decisions. And sometimes as a homeowner, it's quite hard to hear negative criticism. So you're selling your home by yourself. And the buyer, remember I asked you about feedback before, right? But some sellers might not be able to bear hearing the negatives. I remember I was listing a home and I told the seller about my evaluation. This is what I think, and they're like, "Oh no, our home has this," and I'm like, "I'm your agent and I'm giving you criticism and you can't handle it." Yeah. Right? What do you think a buyer's agent's gonna do, right? So, you know, just that right there, just my interaction with my own seller, they couldn't handle it. You know, imagine if it was a buyer, right? So personality traits really come into factor here. You know, the buyer might not be trying to insult you,
but the truth hurts sometimes.
It does. You know, and you know, if the seller is dealing with an agent, a professional agent themselves, they might not be able to handle the negative criticism, right? In which may result in the property not being sold. Right, because they now have, well, I hate that person. Yeah, exactly. Right now, personally, I don't care if you hate them. You're not going to be living with them. Just sell them the goddamn property if the price makes sense. Yeah, of course. Right, but you know, you'd be surprised, right? Now, when you're hiring a realtor, there are part-time realtors out there, right, and there are full-time realtors out there. Part-time agents might have another job. Full-time, like myself. Yep. This is all we do. Right now, I'm not saying hiring a part-time is worse than all that kind of stuff. An agent is an agent is an agent, right? The fiduciary duties. But well, you know what? It gets to a point. It's like me personally. I tell my clients, when you're dealing with me, this is all I'm doing. I'm not worrying about, you know, a delivery at my other job. I'm not worried about deadlines at my other job. I'm worried and focused on your property. This is what I do. Yeah. We have our slogan here on our shirt: "Eat, sleep, real estate." This is what we do, right? Yeah. And it was a nice plug there. But this is what we do. That's right. Right. So we're mentally ready for the stress of taking on the listing, right? We know everything that comes with it. You know, in the morning we wake up, okay, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this. We know what we're doing, right? That's right. So we have dedicated time to that. This is our job. We're not worried about the deadlines in another job. You know, let's say you, for sale by owner, you have another job and you have a very important meeting happening tomorrow, but now a buyer wants to see your home tonight. Are you ready to have the home cleaned up, ready to answer all the questions, and still prepare for your deadline tomorrow for your job? Maybe not, right? Oftentimes, a lot of for sale by owners get frustrated and they end up not selling the home. And then what happens is you get a shark buyer that comes along and knows the home's been for sale by owner a lot of times and just lowball the hell out of you, right? Because they think that the seller is emotionally unstable and doesn't know anything, and then just now lowballs the hell out of them and negotiates a lower commission, because there is no commission, but negotiates it down, saying, hey, you're not paying a commission, so your price is set this, why don't we lower the price down? It'll be a quick sale. Especially right now, there are not companies, but there are people out there, and it's unfortunate that I think they're taking advantage of a lot of most likely seniors. It's kind of like that phone scam that was happening before. I'm not calling this company or organization a scam, but you know how there's a CRA people that were calling people and mostly preying on the elderly. Well, there's companies out there that are sending letters and emails, flyers saying that we will buy your home without realtors, save the commission, save the time.
Really?
Oh yeah, and you know, there's a story that happened. I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, where and it didn't happen to me. I just read about it, where this lady, I think, didn't decide to go with an agent and went with these people that said they'll buy the homes themselves, sold the property for $1 million. Little did she know that these buyers flipped the property for 1.2 a week later.
Oh, wow.
And if she had hired a proper agent and got a proper appraisal done, could these buyers have done that? No. But because, you know, maybe she had a bad experience or thought she was saving time and commission, she ended up losing $200,000 just because, you know, she wanted to go that route.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So you got to be careful of these professionals out there. Now, realtors have access to a large network. We have our MLS system. Now, as a for sale by owner, like I said, you might have that yellow sign you put out there, right? Or that, you know, go to the dollar store, get that for sale by owner sign or for sale sign.
That's what I saw on my way here, remember?
Well, yeah, we didn't take a picture. But what did we see, though? We saw that sign, and it was actually listed.
That's
but
right.
the person still had that sign up there.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking maybe that person might have just got harassed so many times that they're finally like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go with a realtor. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
It could have.
Right?
Definitely could have.
That's what I was thinking.
But so you have that sign up front.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you're in a very heavy traffic location. You know, you might get, I don't know, maybe 100 cars drive by in a day. Out of those 100 cars, hopefully one is a serious buyer.
Yeah.
So you have one potential buyer that came and saw it. Realtors have the MLS system, which gives us the opportunity to advertise your home not only to potential buyers, to other agents who have potential buyers, right? Through the MLS system, we get on Zillow, we get on Realtor.ca, we get on REW, we get on all these things here. And if REW wants to, you know, give me special pricing because I just shouted them out, go ahead. I'm good with it too. But no, I'm joking, right? But there are other mediums that the realtor has access to through the MLS system. So it creates, you know, where the drive-by traffic may be 100. Well, by realtor posting it up using all their networking and sourcing, it might be 1,000 a day. Right? And we also rely, me being a realtor, I don't rely on getting a direct buyer. I rely on the professionalism of other buyer agents, that they've done their due diligence. They've checked on their client, made sure that they're pre-approved, right? Because we don't want time wasters, which leads me right to the next point, right? Which is weeding out unqualified buyers.
Perfect.
Right? That's point 5. Realtors will help discussing with potential realtors or potential buyers about their qualification of buying the home. Are they just looky-loos? You know, are they just,
window shopping?
Mike and Jane from down the street? It had nothing to do on Sunday.
How many times does that happen, though? That happens all the time.
It happens
I
a
remember
lot.
that one showing, somebody just walked up in there and it's like, oh, just the neighbors. See you guys.
Yeah,
We're just like, oh, okay.
It does. It happens quite often.
Yeah,
You'll have, Mike and John, Suki and Parm, or Dave down the street saying, hey, I just want to take a look. Maybe they want to put their home on sale and they want to check out the competition.
Yeah.
Right?
They might want to buy it.
And you have some buyers sometimes that are not even qualified. They don't get their mortgage done yet, and then they tie up your property, right? Now, one of the reasons having an agent is we try to eliminate as much as possible. There is no 100% here, right? But we try to eliminate the unqualified buyers. That too by having strong relationships. I would always say hire an agent that has good relationships in the community as well as good relationships with other realtors.
That's right.
Right? You don't want, and I'm going to say this straight up honest, you don't want a prick as your agent, right? Because other agents might not want to deal with them.
Yeah.
Right? There's an average agent and then there's superstar agents, right? And a lot of these superstar agents have good reputations, right? Mm-hmm. They may be a shark to deal with, but it doesn't mean that they're bad. Doesn't mean that they don't get along with people. They're just a shark to deal with, which is fine, right? So having an agent with a good reputation, dealing with other buyers' agents, hopefully their agent pre-qualified them to the stage that we can show your property. And you know what? A lot of like ourselves, Rick, we're not going to just go around taking buyers left, right, and center, right? We're going to try to pre-qualify themselves because this is what we do full time. We don't have something else to do, so we don't want to waste our time either.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So having a realtor who has a good reputation with other realtors will eliminate a lot of the time wasters, right?
And time is the most valuable asset. So.
Another reason to hire an agent is, like I said, majority of agents, this is all we do. Now, this point might seem a little bit weird considering if the homeowner is, let's say, a car salesman or in sales himself. But realtors have the sales negotiation ability, right? Now, not to say that, you know, if you're a car salesman or you're in some kind of pharmaceutical sales or whatever, not to say that you don't, but it is a different type of sale, right? I mean, forget about all the other facts I just talked about before about the emotional aspect and everything, right? It's a different type of buyer psychology. You know, when I'm going to buy a car, I'm not going to sleep in it, right? So, you know, it's more of a luxury item. Now, also I can buy a luxury home, but it's still, you know, an emotional decision because this is where I'm going to sleep at night. You know, when I'm going to have my dreams of how I'm going to be successful in the future, this is the home I'm going to have it at. I'm not going to sleep in my car to have those dreams, right? I'm going to have it in the home, right? Yeah. So it sometimes takes a different style of negotiation, right, in the skills matrix to sell real estate.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
You know, I've seen car salesmen get into the real estate market and just flop. Then again, I've seen some that flourish, right? So, there's different dynamics that you're really going to want to utilize in your salesman, right?
Definitely.
Another point here, point 7, is the realtor you hire will ignore the flaws, right? Oh, sorry, won't ignore the flaws. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Won't ignore the flaws. Now, what that means, Rick, is when we go into our own homes, we're so used to something, right? Of course. And the easiest way to say it, Rick, is I lived in Richmond for numerous of years, and I lived right over the flight path, right? So I got used to it. I didn't even hear it anymore. Now when I go back there, I hear it all the time. But I got used to it, so I ignored the flaw.
Yeah.
Now, being a homeowner that lives in this home, there might be a patch somewhere. There might be a mold patch. There might be a creaky floor. I went to the other listing a little while ago, and I walked in the kitchen. While walking in the kitchen, I felt, a decline. And I went to the owner. I'm like, well, do you feel this here? And he's like, no, I don't feel it. I'm like, you don't feel that at all? Like, I mean, I even told him, I'm like, watch, I had a ball. I found a tennis ball, and I put it on the ground. I saw the thing rolling on something. And he's like, I've never noticed that. I'm like, well, see, here's the difference. We will go and inspect the property. We will go and tell you, well, here, this is. Well, they should at least. This is what I do. When I'm in a home and I'm going to be listing the home for the first time, I tell my clients I'm coming in there as a buyer's agent would be, or as a buyer would be. I'm trying to pick out the flaws before the buyer can, right? Yeah. So then I can figure out what we can do, right? That's why we have our walkthrough evaluation, right? So, we'll say, okay, well, there's a leaky floor, leaky sink here. The floor is really creaky here. Your paint's damaged there. That cupboard is almost falling off. It could be very small. It could be very minor. Yeah. The bathroom fan, right, could be really, really noisy, right? But you've been living there 10 years, so you drew it out. But it's the first thing I come in that I'm just like, what the hell is this damn noise, right? So, or even just plain old dust, right? Yeah. It's accumulated over time, and you just, not as a big deal. But to a buyer, it's huge. Yeah. So, a buyer's agent, for their walkthrough evaluation, more often than not, will not ignore the flaws, and hopefully, you as a seller can take that criticism or the opinion in a positive manner.
Hopefully.
Right?
Some can.
Now the legal risks, right?
Oh yeah. Huge.
Now, not having a realtor to sell the property because you wanted to save commission or you had a bad experience does not excuse you from not disclosing items in your home properly, right? If you don't disclose to the buyer, which is something you should have known, or you lied or manipulated, or you even accidentally and this is a pure accident. It was an honest mistake. You might have thought one thing was one way, but you advertised it as another, and you really genuinely believed it, so you never checked it up on it, right? And you told them everything's fine, and it turns out it wasn't. Now, the best example I can give to that is probably, let's just say, a grow-up property. Yeah. Okay. Now, you fully believe that your property was not a grow-up property. You actually bought it through an agent, 5 years back, and the sale went through normally, and you now go to sell your property, and you genuinely believe your home was never a grow-up. And this has happened. This has actually happened numerous of times.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the agent that you used to buy the property at that time, I don't know if they did their due diligence property or the seller did. I don't know. I can't speak on that. But the fact remains is that you honestly believe that your home was not a grow-up or is not a grow-up. You go to sell the property. The buyer or his agent or someone did their due diligence, found out it was a grow-up property. Right? But you put everywhere in the disclosures, everywhere, saying it's not a grow-up, I'm fully liable, blah, blah, blah. Now, guess what? They removed subjects. They did this. They can't find another property. You said it was a grow-up. Turned out it was a grow-up. Who is now legally responsible?
Yeah, who's liable for that then?
Well, the seller.
Seller, right? Yeah.
Right? The seller kept on saying that it is not, it's not. Basically signed in blood saying it wasn't. Right? But, because they honestly thought that from the past history, from when they bought it, it wasn't. But it turns out it was. Right? So that plays a big role. So regardless if, you're in court one day and the judge is asking you, well, why didn't you hire an agent? And you generally said, well, I was trying to save money, or I don't like agents. I thought I can do it myself. I'm experienced in sales. Regardless of whatever your reason is, does not escape your liability or your responsibility to that sale, right? Now, I say this all the time, Rick. And it's funny that I'm saying this as a realtor, but do you need a realtor to sell your property? You don't. You 100% do not need a realtor to sell your property. I know my fellow realtors out there might be saying, what the hell, Jeff, shut the hell up. What the hell are you doing? Right? Yeah. But keep listening. Keep listening. Right? Do you need a realtor to sell your property? You don't. But now let me put this on you here. Your car breaks down, Rick.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't know what the hell's happening. Do you need a car mechanic? No, you technically don't need a car mechanic. You can go on Google and find out what the hell's going on and try to fix it yourself. In doing so, you actually screw it up even further and now damage the damn thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So should you have got a car mechanic? Yeah.
Most cases.
Did you need one? No. Now, let's say you're sick. And instead of going to the doctors, I know COVID time right now, so just I'm not talking about the actual COVID time. I'm talking a general thing here, people, right? But let's say you're sick and you don't want to seek any kind of medical advice, whatever. But what do? You go on WebMD and you put in your symptoms. You do this, and then you start self-diagnosing yourself and you start self-medicating.
It's the worst.
Well, I'm not gonna say what could happen. I think we're all on that same page here. It's not a smart decision. Did you need to go to the doctors? Probably not. Should you have? I think we're getting a theme here, right?
Yeah.
Now let's talk about lawyers here. You committed a crime or whatever, right? You have the right to defend yourself. Should you? Probably not, right? Do you need to have a lawyer? Probably don't need one. Should you have one? Yeah, because you can go to defend yourself, end up screwing something up, and now you get hit with a stupid fine, jail time, I don't know, because of whatever reason you decided not to use a lawyer, right? Now let me go back here. Do you need a realtor to sell your property? No. But for all the reasons I just said above, legal ramifications, showing time, scheduling, all these things, right? Should you have a realtor? Damn right you should. Right? You're not selling sneakers, you're not selling cars. It's you don't 100% need one, right? Should you have one? 100% you should. Right? They're there to protect you. Right?
Of course.
Now you can work out the fees and the commissions if that's what you really after with every other agent out there.
Yeah.
But you still should have representation. You're not doing something. You're not trading baseball cards here. Speaking of cards, Ricky, you still have my hockey cards.
Yeah, I have them in the view class.
Okay.
Yeah, got them. Got the box.
So you're not trading cards here. You're not going on vacation here or looking at hotel packages or all that kind of stuff. Most likely it's hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Right?
Especially in the
well, yeah. I mean, you might save 15, 20,000, whatever it is, but the legal ramifications of it by not having it, could far outweigh reasons why not.
Definitely.
Right? I mean, it's a tall task to sell your home yourself. It's not as easy as you may think of putting a sign up front. A lot of newbie realtors enter the real estate industry because of that reason. Right? They think it's an easy thing, and we can just put a for sale sign up front and it'll sell itself. But when they get into the points that we just talked about, more than half of them actually fall out the industry in the first year.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Or they might only sell maybe 1 or 2 homes a year. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
Now, for sell by owner, you're taking on a lot of responsibility, a lot of stress. There's a lot of things that come in the sale of your home. So I guess here what we should say is, can you sell your home by yourself? Of course you can. If someone says you can't, time to watch this video. Right?
That's right.
You can sell the home yourself. Should you? Probably not. Right? You should have someone professional handling it. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, why take a risk?
Right? It's a lot of money here. Right? I mean, it's not like selling your car by yourself on Craigslist or something, which sometimes can actually be dangerous too. You don't know who the buyer is. You don't know any of this. Let's talk about that for a quick second. The buyer's agent has a record of who's coming, everybody coming, all that kind of stuff. You, as for selling a home by yourself, might not have all that capability, right? So, and be careful about that. So, to wrap it up, like I said, I think the best thing I can say to wrap this thing up here is, do you sometimes you feel that you don't need an agent, right, to sell the home by yourself, that you can do yourself because you feel you can do a better job, and you may. Yeah. There's some people that actually can.
Yeah.
Right? But a really, really funny anecdote here is, I believe, and I'm not going to 100% say this story is true, but I think it is true. There was the owner of for sale, yousellhome.com, very, very prominent for sale by owner company, was selling his New York penthouse and using his own platform, yousellhome.com, right? Couldn't sell it himself and end up hiring a realtor. Oh, wow. So this is the owner who made the whole thing. Couldn't end up doing it.
There was a stat as well that for sale by owners generally get less money for their home.
Well, yeah, it can happen.
Sorry, I don't have that stat.
No.
Yeah,
well, we're not all about stats here and everything too, right? We're more about the raw truth, right?
That's true.
But typically, it could. Like I said, it comes down to shark buyers. And a buyer's agent can come and say, well, you know what, your home is valued at this. I'll take my commission out here. I'll do this. I'll do that, and you can end up getting less. Or what happened to that lady who went with the company themselves and sold it for $1 million, thought she got a great deal, and the other company went and sold it or flipped it. How we talked about last video, flipping.
Yep.
Flipped it for $200,000 more. Right. So, like I said, to end it off, I would recommend, highly recommend to call me. Actually, no, I'm joking. Right, to hire an agent, have a professional, right, to assist you with that.
Excellent. Perfect. I know this episode is a little longer than normal, but
How long
there's
is
a
it?
lot. We're almost at an hour almost.
Shut up.
Yeah, for real. But that's actually good because this could have went on way longer because there's so much with this. We tried to just conclude down the major points.
An hour?
An hour. We could have went longer, but what can you do? And then we're running. I know you're running late as well.
Yeah, the wife keeps on calling me, and so I'm gonna just blame you.
No worries. I always get blamed anyway. And don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, guys. We have been giving JC Homes hoodies away to a few lucky listeners for the YouTube channel in our comment section. Do all that fun stuff. Don't forget to give us a call if you're thinking about moving around in British Columbia, especially the Lower Mainland, Surrey, BC, Burnaby, Langley.
And you know what? If you
Valley,
just have
everywhere.
questions, we love answering questions, whether in the comment field or even just calling Ricky up. Ricky will direct them to me, right? And we'll make sure that we have those questions answered. So we love hearing comments and questions.
That's the most important thing is the comments, guys. So make sure you guys give us your comments and any questions.
You know what? Sorry, Rick. I'm going to say this. You know what? Try to be positive comments, people here. You know what I mean? I mean, there are channels. There are always all those odd people out there that have nothing better to do on a Friday night than to create a fake. If you don't know who I'm talking to, then whatever, right? But create their own, YouTube account just to make a negative comment.
Yeah,
right?
there's
It's
those
you know, I appreciate it because you're helping the analytics out more. But you know, get a life, people. Right? We're not here to try to oversell anything else. We're here to actually educate and have fun doing it.
That's right.
And if your fun is being a troll, you know, at 1 a.m, hats off to you.
At least they watched the whole video. Right? So I mean, one positive out of that. Thanks to whoever that person was. But yeah, but we're gonna end off on that. And there's also a bonus episode I shot solo because Jeff was busy that day, and I went to a park in the Lower Mainland, one of my favorite parks, one of those hidden gems of Vancouver. We'll be dropping that video soon this week as well with this one. And stay tuned. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, guys, all that fun stuff. We'll be back with another episode next week of the British Columbia Real Estate Podcast. See you later, guys, on the next one.